Still one of my favorite Unifi cameras, it's the G5 Turret Ultra. But it'd be nice if it sort of had a few of the AI Pro features, because like vehicle license plate number recognition, facial recognition. If only we could somehow combine the two. Oh. This is the brand new AI Turret camera from Unifi, and I've got one. Yeah. And so the way I thought I'd test this is that I'm going to use the driveway right there behind me as the test bed, especially for the license plate recognitions or number plate recognitions if you're in Australia, because I really want that actually. We have a lot of guests that come up for our Airbnb cottage, and they drive up this way. So it would be nice to kind of have a little bit of an eye on, because we're not always here, on who's actually coming and going. And maybe I can do some automations with it. Not sure about that bit yet. But it is kind of a combination, I think, of the G5 Turret Ultra and the AI Pro cameras, at least on paper. So that's sort of what I'm expecting. It looks like the G5 Turret Ultra. It costs the same as the AI Pro. So I'm not sure where we're gonna land. But that's the plan. I'm gonna install it just up here behind you. And I think it'll be a good test for figuring out how it actually works. So we're gonna take it out of the box first, install it, and then look at how it all works. So here's the rather small box, but it is surprisingly heavy. So I suspect it's made of some sort of aluminium metal. It's aluminium. All right. And I know you like this, so let's, you ready? Weirdos. All right, so this is the camera. I suspect there's not much else in the box because, you know, oh, it comes with a little plastic cover. Okay, very good. And, oh, yep. Okay, that is heavy. Oh, much heavier than the G5 Ultra, that's for sure, Turret Ultra. Okay, so that's bigger as well. I think that's actually physically quite a bit bigger. But anyway, we'll figure that out. So that will be the camera itself. Then here is a spotlight, and then we have this blue light coming around here, but we'll see all that when we fire it up. It comes in this housing, which is very maneuverable, as in you can swivel it everywhere you want, and you affix this to either a ceiling or a wall. This one can be wall mounted as well, which that bit is for getting the cable out if you don't want the cable in through the back. We're not going to use that. We're going to use the cable here, which is in the back. And speaking of the cable, it's one of those controversial things I've had a lot of comments on because of this. It's called the rat tail connection, I've heard. And see how big it is? It's quite large, which means wherever you want this to go through something, you've got to have that bigger hole. Now, I already have that, so that's okay. But that may or may not suit your needs, but it does mean that you have this attached cable here. So the Cat 6 goes into here, not into the camera. Right, so we're gonna attach that bit on the side of the shed, and then we're gonna point this down the driveway. And what else have we got? A metal thing, probably for fixing it through a porous ceiling or like lightweight thing. We have a template with a little spirit level. And then we also have, of course, the actual grommet to make this all waterproof. So we don't get nasty things into the cable connection. And there's some, that's the other side of it. So what you do, you choose your size of the grommet here, a rubber grommet, which is, you know, can be split here. So whatever size cable you have, there's 3 sizes. You then put the cable on there, we put the grommet in through here, and you connect it all up with this bit, like that, and the cable's all nice and tight and tucked in there. And then there's a bunch of screws as always. Come on. Special tool, number 42. Yep. And here are the screws, whoops. Screws for fixing it. And what's the last thing? Oh, that's for up through the ceiling with this thing. So you put those through there, and I'm not going to use that. But so there's different mounting options for you. And of course there's a little bit of literature on the side here, which is all your warranty information, etc. Those are all the bits, not that much to it. This is big and heavy, so let's install it and then we'll figure out all the features. Hi, I'm up a ladder again. We're gonna put this on, so it comes with a little template here, which I've already made a hole here, and if you didn't see that hole being made and you really want to, that's in the last video, so go check that out. But see, there's the hole in the middle. We're just gonna place that over. We're gonna get the spirit level to tell us we're straight-ish. There we go, about there. And then we'll drill some holes, put this in and attach the camera. So now I'm gonna start with needing more hands. Because this one is not sticky, I am going to use a texter to mark the hole. There's a little note on when we install this. I mentioned it briefly before, but there's a little catch here on it. There. I'm going to drop it now, aren't I? No. Which is where you can put the cable in. So you put the cable from the camera, and there's a little lock that actually locks it in place. If we can do it. There we go. See, that one comes across. Use that, because that means the camera's not going to drop out of your hands. If you are going to use the wall mounted or so cable out the side method, right? I'm not going to use that because I already got a big hole there for the cable, but just bear that in mind. Quite clever. Even comes with a little sticker telling you that. All right, I shall put this on the wall. All right, so let's put the camera on. One thing I didn't mention before, which we'll look at more in detail, is that underneath it here, it's a little hatch, or little hatch that's screwed on with 2 screws, and you get the tool for that as well. That is where you can put in a micro SD card, which I think is a new for Unifi, a new first. This is what they call edge recording. In other words, you can record on the camera in case, I guess, you lose connection to your NVR Protect machine, whatever. So that's kind of neat. So I will put one in there, but I'm just going to get it on here first. But let's install it. It's heavy. So I'm going to position it so that the camera is sort of down the driveway. That way is the idea. So I'm going to add it like that, I think is the point. But first we got to put the grommet on, which I forgot, which I have here. So I'm just going to put this up here for the minute and hope it doesn't roll off. Oh. So the idea with this is that you have obviously the rubber grommet to keep everything out of it, but we put this over first like that. So that goes over this thing. You then take the rubber grommet and you put that over the cable like that. And then that can go inside this thing here, obviously, and it's sort of tight. And then we have the last bit, which is the rest of it, like so. It goes through there, look at that. And then you just screw it on there, like that. And that's now a tight seal, so don't screw it on until we have this connected, just. Is the idea, because it gets tight, that's the whole idea. So now we're gonna put this on. Here, which is gonna fire up the camera, because this is plugged in. This is PoE Plus, is what it's powered with. So we'll put that in there. And then we slide that over, like so, and tighten it all, like that, and it's sealed. There we go. So now we're going to obviously put the camera on, so stick that in through there. And then I've got to try and position this so I can get the camera down the driveway, which will be interesting. All right, more cable, there we go. Like that. So this thing has a cutout in it. I'm going to point that down there and then swivel the camera accordingly. So about there, I think. I'm probably going to have to readjust it, but for now, let's go with that. And then you just turn this for a while. And then at the end, there's a little click. See if we can hear it. There was a click. I don't know if you heard it. Just there was a click, and that means it's locked in. So now you need a special network tool to release it if you want to get it off. Bit of extra safety. Obviously we got to take this off, so we got to take the lens thing off. And the outer one. And now there's a big ring, as there is on most Unifi devices, which is white, meaning it's ready to be adopted. So I think first we're going to look at all the features and compare a little bit to the AI Pro and the G5 Turret Ultra and just see where it sort of sits, and then we'll get into and do all the tests and actually start using it. So I think at this point I want to go through the features and compare them a little bit to the other two cameras that I'm sort of hinting to, which is the G5 Turret Ultra and the AI Pro, because there's some interesting observations, I think. Anyway, let's have a look at all three. So on the left here is the AI Turret, and immediately you can see it's a 4K camera, as we already mentioned, has very wide angle, and it really does, ultra wide, 109 degrees, has 40-meter night vision range. That's important, I'll get back to that. Advanced AI, we know this is an AI camera, so it has face and license plate recognition. Then it has the integrated LED spotlight, which we also saw on the PTZ, the G5 PTZ. And then we have the far field microphone array for two-way audio. So we actually have a speaker and a microphone in this camera as well. We then have the new micro SD card feature, which is called Edge Recording. So that's Unifi's way of saying, hey, this will work offline, I believe. We're going to test that. And we use PoE power. If I compare that to, say, the G5 Turret Ultra, it is a 2K camera. It is ultra wide viewing angle, so 102 degrees, so very similar, but not quite as. Has 30-meter IR night vision. It does AI event detections, but not advanced AI, as in this will do animal, person, vehicle, but doesn't tell you the number plate, what type of vehicle it is, etc. Facial recognition. We can record audio, but there is no speaker. And then it's PoE powered and weatherproof. And then the AI Pro is a 4K camera, again 8 megapixels, 3x optical zoom, so that's the one thing that the other two do not have. Advanced AI, again 25-meter night vision, yeah, and we have the far field microphone array for two-way audio as well. Now I need to mention the price, obviously, because that's the one thing that everybody's been focusing on a lot when the AI Turret came out. So in this case, there's a Black Friday sale on, so it's $399 instead of $499. It's also sold out, as many Unifi devices are. We know that. But it's normally $499. The G5 Turret Ultra is $129, so a big price difference. But there's also a very different camera. The AI Turret is much heavier and much bigger and has a lot more features. It's probably more, I think, reasonable to compare it to the AI Pro, which is on the right, which is also $499. Now, if you want the longer night vision range on the AI Pro and you want the spotlight, the 600 lumens spotlight, and you want a better speaker, you need to purchase the AI enhancer. That's what that gives you. It gives you 40 meters of night range, 600 lumens spotlight, etc. If you do that, suddenly you're looking at $499 plus $179, which is a similar then experience to the AI Turret. Yes, you don't get the zoom on the AI Turret, but other than that, it's very similar. It's very, very similar. And then the AI Turret might not be such an expensive proposition, or at least not comparatively. With me? Let me know what you think down in the comments as well about that kind of theory and that thought process. If we look a bit further down on the specs, you can see here that the dimensions is what I've alluded to before. The AI Turret is big, 118 by 111 mil in diameter, or height and diameter, whereas the G5 Turret Ultra is 90 by 71.2. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when you hold them, when they're physically in your hand, it's a lot bigger, the AI Turret. It feels much bigger. It weighs 3 times as much, almost a kilo, whereas you can see as well the AI Pro actually with the mount weighs about 820. So the AI cameras in general are a bit heavier because they're better made and they have more stuff in them. The weatherproofing is about the same, although the AI Pro is only IP65, so it's not as good as keeping out water. So the first number is dust ingress or particles, and the second one is fluids or water. And then the interesting one is the resistance part of it. So they all have a resistance rating, which is sort of your vandalism protection. But the new AI Turret is ICO 08, so it actually can withstand more hits or, throwing things at it or vandal type stuff. Yeah, It's a measurement of how much force it can withstand from a certain height. That's how it's measured. But RK08 is better. The rest of it is sort of similar. If we go down to the optics here, we can see that the AI Pro and the AI Turret have the same optics, the same 8 megapixel sensor, whereas the G5 Turret Ultra has a smaller CMOS sensor. So that does make a difference in how good the image quality is. A larger sensor usually means a better picture, usually. Viewing angle is all about the same. And then of course we have the IR distance, which is 40 meters on the AI Turret, and the others just says built-in IR LED. It's 30 and 25 meters. So it does perform a lot better at night, and I'll show you that when we get to it. The night performance is actually quite good, also because of a few other things. But anyway, and that's about it. The only other thing I would like to mention, I guess, is that the power consumption here is 20 watts on the AI Turret. It's 4 on the G5 Turret Ultra, and then with the enhancers 22 or 11 without it on the AI Pro. It does use a lot of power, it seems, and when you handle it, it feels quite hot. So I'm just going to see how hot it runs as well when we get outside and we test the camera a bit more in detail. But that's the specs. I think let's jump into Unifi Protect and actually look at the footage and all the features of the AI Turret. So let's have a look at the actual features and what the camera does. It's about time, I think. So I'm here in Unifi Protect, and here's my AI Turret. So let's first have a look at all the bits, because it looks a little bit different, because we've got a few things that haven't been on there before, at least not in my experience. So first of all, we have just the image here. That's how I position it. It's about right, I think. I'll get back to that in just a second. We have the usual stuff here with the status. So the connection is excellent. Well, I hope so. The device version, last motion, MAC address, etc. And then down here, we have this new edge recording. And we can see, well, how much storage have we got? In this case, I've just reformatted the SD card, so we only use 2.36 megabytes, but it has unknown health status because the installed SD card does not support reporting health status. I don't know. I bought a SanDisk 64 gigabyte SD card that was designed for home security cameras or something to that effect. So it does work. And then if I click Learn More, we get a nice help page of all the storage options for Unifi. And if I scroll down, you can see micro SD cards are here. Vendor, Samsung or any. So obviously I'm any. It says capacity 128. SD cards must have at least 128 gigabyte storage capacity, which is not correct in this case because the listing specifically says 64 gigs. So I'm not sure. If you know what's going on with the health status, whatever, let me know down in the comments. In any case, we have some details on it here. We have storage capacity. So we have a day and 6 hours. That's pretty good, I think, if this is for outages. As far as I can tell, I don't know. Before I formatted it, I had used about 50 gigs of storage over the last day or so after I put it in. So I think it records the whole time and then sort of syncs up with the NVR. But when we test actually turning the NVR off and see if we lose any connection or any data, I guess we'll find out. Recording mode is continuous, recording to resolution is high quality, and of course we can click manage and we can change those things if we want to. Just over a day for me is fine. I think that'll work. You can reformat it as well there if you want to. And we can unmount it to prevent data loss when you remove it. So as we all do, we all remove our SD cards by unmounting them. Yeah. Then we have some recording settings, and these sort of look your standard recording options for a unified camera. We have when to record, recording mode, we can create motion events, how many seconds before and after. That is not unusual. We do have create AI events here, and there's a little caveat here. For some reason, when I set this up and adopted it, I didn't have license plate. And that's because it was turned off in the settings. So if I go to the settings here, and you go to the system settings, down here we have smart detection, and license plate recognition was turned off. So some update had turned that off for me and I wasn't aware. So just be mindful of that. But we have here all of the different AI events that we can detect, video detection, etc. We have audio detections, and there's a whole lot. We have baby crying, barking, car alarm, car horn, CO alarm, glass breakers, siren, smoke alarm, speaking. So I just have all of those on. Again, seconds before and after, recording quality. We can choose auto, which I usually have. It's fine for me. And then we can have the encoding on here, which is a beta thing. The labs means beta. So we can change that to enhanced. I'll just left it as standard. And the recording resolution rather. Overlay information, I'm actually going to change that to time and camera name, not logo. And we're just going to apply those changes. And then down the bottom here, we have the detection and privacy zones. So first of all, we have the motion zone. That's your standard motion zone. I usually change it so I don't get the trees in there because, you know, I don't really want trees because they always move or something like that. That'll be good. But then we have the smart detection zones. And they're a bit different because there's something here called loitering. And when you check that, as it says here, loitering detection is triggered only when an object remains in the smart zone longer than a specified time period. So a person hanging around or a dog sitting there, I don't know, whatever it might be, right? Loitering. So if I check that, just look what happens to these checkboxes, right? So it only goes with person or vehicle. So it's only a person or vehicle, so not dog, obviously. It doesn't do any of the other tracking when you do that as a smart detection. So if you want loitering on, you can't have animal and face detection. That's just how it's set up. Maybe that'll change. I'm not sure. And you can put, of course, the sensitivity. I'm happy with just having that smart zone that is there. That's fine. No problem. And then, of course, we have crossing lines. If you haven't seen those, that could be interesting here. You can put a crossing line of where something might pass through. So when a vehicle or a person passes from A to B or B to A, you will get an event or an alert, right? You can see the direction here, A to B, A and B, A to B, or B to A only. And you can choose animal, person, vehicle, right? And we can count detections. So if I wanted to have that, maybe I want both ways, and we can save that. I will get events for crossing that line, which can be helpful if you want to count or know who goes, you know, over into a certain area or something like that. So those are and then of course privacy zones, which is your standard privacy zone of you can block something out completely that will never be recorded. So those are the detection and privacy zones that you can set up. Then we have the settings. And of course we have night vision, because remember now we have a spotlight on there, a 600 lumens LED spotlight. So we can have auto night vision, we can have custom night vision. So that is a trigger threshold of how dark it needs to be before we have night vision. I just have it as auto, that's fine. Current luminance is over 50, so it's telling you right now we have more, it's daytime. And then we can choose whether we want only IR filter or both IR filter and IR LED. I will probably change that to only IR, and I'll show you why in just a second. We can have the camera give status sounds or just status light. So if you want sounds on the camera as well to make sure that people notice it, you can do that. Tags, that's the new thing. We can select tags of actually tagging a camera so we can easier sort them. So I can select tags. I only have llama cam here, but we could create another tag and actually have one that says driveway or whatever. And then there's the enhancer. Even though it doesn't have an enhancer on it, they're using the same verbiage. So we can have color night vision, which is when it turns the LED on. And again, I'll probably turn that off. I'll show you why. As it says here, the camera spotlight will colorize nighttime detection recording. It lights up when an object is detected in a specific detection zone. Please note that the spotlight's range is 4 meters, so you don't get a lot of range with the spotlight. And then, of course, we have the share live stream where you can share a link with one or more people, but one session at a time. We have notification settings, and again, we do that in the notification, or in the alarm manager rather. So I'm not going to go through that here. And then we have advanced, which is your RTSP protocols, real-time streaming. I will actually put that at high because I need that for Home Assistant. So Home Assistant, the integration will need that to show the camera in Home Assistant. And then we have manage, which is just restart and remove. So that's the settings. Let's have a look at the footage. So here's the image of the AI turret. This is how it comes through. It is probably the most true colors I've seen, if I'm honest, but I'll compare in just a second to the G5 Turret Ultra and the AI Pro cameras, just so you can see what I mean. But what you get here is standard for any unified camera, right? We have the crossing line that we're showing here. We can get some stats on that if we hover over it. You know, we just created it, so no one's actually crossed it yet. You have the standard controls down here. Of course, we can unmute the sound. We can also talk through it, but right now I have enabled detection highlights, so you can't. I'm not sure why that is mutually exclusive. Must be a processing thing. That's all I can think, in terms of CPU power or something. Because if I go up here, I have detection highlights. I put all of them on. I have to disable those to talk through it, but I'm sure that's fine. Now, the picture here might be a little bit jerky. That is not to do with the camera, just to make that clear. My link to where this switch is a point-to-point link, and there's a tree in the way a little bit currently, and sometimes it messes it up. So I will fix that soon with the chainsaw. So we have, if you haven't seen the shortcuts, that's actually really useful. I use that quite a lot. You can click on somewhere here, and you can add what that camera is. So like the carport 2, for example, and down here, that is the gate. So wherever the gate is there. And then sort of behind us, let's say there, that could be, the machinery shed, which is there, sort of thing. And then we can use those like a, old school RPG game or something. You can click and go through to those. That's quite useful if you haven't used that before. So that's just the shortcuts. We have the snapshot, and then we have add to a case. Now this is a new feature in Unifi Protect 5.1 where you can add camera like events and stills to a case. So you can build up like a case of what happened when with the cameras. Now that's not for this video, but that's a new feature in 5.1. And then down here we have the heat map of where we actually have events happening. That's the usual thing. So you can see we have walking, because we walk this way a lot, and then obviously the cars come up the driveway. So we can have a heat map, and then we have multi-camera playback and video archiving, and we can remove the footage. Oh, look at that. As we're talking, there's a bunny, and it has an 88% confidence score that that is an animal, which is correct. There's a rabbit right in our front yard. And yeah, it's a little bit jerky. Again, that is my connection, not the camera. So let's just make that clear. So if I scroll back, the footage is actually quite smooth when we look at this in just a minute. That was kind of fun. We got a live animal there. I did not plan that. All right, so let's have a look at some of the events. So for example, one thing I want to use a lot for this particular camera in this position is the number plate reader or the license plate reader. So if I just scroll down here a bit and we go down to, let's say, this car, which is my normal car that I drive out the driveway, you can see here we get quite a lot of data from the AI camera. So let's let it come down here a little bit. Like that. Pause it there. You can see we have the number plate, which is not entirely correct. I had the same problem with the AI Pro. It is LSK403. It's rated as an A. Okay. It does say it's 88% sure, so it has indicated that it's not 100% sure. It is very sure it's SUV and very sure it's white. Okay, fair enough. So that kinda works pretty well. I like the overlay. I like the graphics. It looks nice, and it tracks it all the way down the driveway. Let's try with another car. Let's say this one that came up here. So that's coming up the driveway. And there we go. And you can see here that the footage is clear and smooth. It's just the recording of it, right? So that has LO2DE. I believe that is correct. And it's 88% sure it's a car. So in this case, it couldn't determine the color nor the type of car. That's a bit hit and miss. Oh, there we go. Oh, we actually got it there. SUV, 92%. Yeah, sort of. It's a ute in Australia, or a pickup. And it says it's black. It's actually gray. But I can see it's not sure about that. So that works quite well. That does work quite well. You can see that is the right number plate, LO2DE. So get that one right. So let's compare the AI Turret to the AI Pro and the G5 Turret Ultra, because again, that is sort of what we've been doing in this video, right? And the top left is the AI Turret. We have on the top right, we have the AI Pro, and then on the bottom left, we have the Turret Ultra. Again, I think the colors are probably most accurate on the AI Turret. That is actually how it looks. It's been raining so much here that it is that green outside. And you can see here that this image here, the carport 2, which is the G5 Turret Ultra, that lawn there is the same as this here. So that green bit here is actually the same as this bit here. And they're very different in color. Now we could edit this in the recording settings and we can sort of try and fiddle with it a bit, but I haven't done with any of the cameras. I haven't done that. So out of the box, this seems to be a better image. it is very clear. I don't know if it comes across on the camera, but it is quite clear. This is not bad. Again, I still think the G5 Turret Ultra is great for what it is. I'm really quite impressed with it. It's just not as clear or accurate as this, the AI Turret is. And then the AI Pro is very crisp as well. So there's not a ton of difference between the three, but I do think that the AI Turret and AI Pro do stand out. Just before we test the micro SD card edge recording type feature, I just wanted to I mentioned that it was running a bit hot before, and actually it runs here. You can see it's connected to a switch flex using PoE Plus, and it's running at about 5 watts when it's not doing much. So that's not bad, even though the max wattage is 20 watts. I'm not sure when it would do that, probably when the LED is on, etc., etc. But running at 5 watt is not bad. I did use I used a thermal imaging camera to see how hot it gets, and it was only about 32 degrees or so, thereabouts. And then I tested it with also the G5 Turret Ultra, which was similar, and then the AI Pro, which was actually running a bit hotter. So even though it felt hot to the touch, or warm, not hot, but warm, I don't think it was a big deal. I think it runs just fine. And just for comparison, the Switch Flex, where it's connected to, runs much hotter, like 46 degrees or something. So I think that's fine. The wattage seems decent enough. I don't think it'll run always at 20. It seems to be 5, seems to be sort of the running wattage, which is very acceptable, I think. All right, cool. So the way I thought I'll test this edge recording is that here in the switch, I'm going to disable this port, which will still give it power, but it won't give it data connection. And then we'll see if we do that for a couple of minutes, if we actually lose footage or if it comes back into the NVR. So I'm going to say disabled. I'm going to apply the changes. So the port's now disabled. So it still has power, but there's obviously no connection to the NVR. So if we go over to Unifi Protect on the NVR, we can now see that the driveway 2, which is that one, I have 2 of them because of another test with another camera anyway, is offline, right? So it definitely hasn't got any connection. So that has now been a couple of minutes sort of thing because of editing. So let's see if we enable it again. So we go back here, we enable that port, we put it back to active, apply the changes, and then this should now come back online, and we'll see if we actually still have footage or if we've lost anything. So now driveway 2 is back online. So let's go to the playback and see if we actually lost any data. Here we go. All right, so we have it just here, lost wire connection for 3 minutes 50 seconds. Let's see if it actually does have footage still. Nope. Maybe it'll come in just a second. Maybe it needs to sync up or something, because I did have it happen down here. I'll show you, there's another place here for 4 seconds, right there. You can see there's another where it lost it. I didn't plan on that one. And you can see as the footage goes through it, we're not actually losing anything. It's just counting it, right? So it's there. Seems to be more than 4 seconds as well, but anyway, thereabouts. And you can see it was still counting there, so we didn't lose anything. All right, it's now a few hours later, and it seems like the SD card data has not been, synchronized to the NVR, because this is still lost wire connection. There's still no actual footage here. There is before, and there is after, but not that's just hasn't come through. So I haven't been able to find any other documentation for edge recording on Unifi Protect. So here is my reasoning or theory, is that the micro SD card is used as a backup. So if you do need the footage from whatever time that it wasn't recording to the NVR, you can get it by getting the SD card out of the camera manually. Not ideal, but it's a backup. Hopefully a future version of Unifi Protect will actually synchronize this data so that there is nothing missing if you have it on the SD card. So I think that's how it works. That's all I could get it to do. But yeah, let me know in the comments if I've missed something, because it might be that some feature I haven't set, but I can't see anywhere that I can turn anything on or off for this. So yeah, All right, let's have a go at this 40-meter infrared light that we get at night. So it is now, 10:15 at night, and you can see here is the camera with the night vision on. So this is infrared here. And already you can see that it just, like the whole lawn is actually lit here. And I was mentioning earlier that there's probably a reason that I won't use the color night vision, because it only get about 4 meters of range roughly, which in this case is to about here. It's not even reaching the lawn probably. So when the light turns on, the actual floodlight, the IR of course turns off, and then it gets dark over here. It's just, most of it is just dark. Whereas now with this, I can see 40 meters away. And then I was alluding to this earlier, is that I have more cameras, which means I actually have more IR, more infrared light going in this area, which I have just turned off. So now let me show you what happens when I turn it all on again. So I'm going to start here, say with the driveway camera. So that's the AI Pro. I go in here and I turn the IR filter, IR LEDs rather on, have a look at what happens on the image there. So that comes on, that's just infrared. Right, that's just infrared light that comes on there. I then turn the carport number 2 on, so that's the turret. Oh, see, there we go. It just turned the LEDs on because there was a bug or something. And see how much worse it is? Like, oh, you can just see the lawn, but it's nowhere near as good as the infrared, even though it's quite a bright light. So I'll just wait for that to go off again. There we go, and now we're back to infrared light here. So if I turn the infrared on for the turret, the G5 Turret Ultra, there we go, like this. See, there's even more infrared light, and that's an infrared that shows up there. This looks like light because it's infrared light. And then I also have one in the carport, which is the G5 Dome Ultra. So if I turn that on as well, inside the carport, there we go, I actually get light in there too. So I have quite a few cameras in this area covering different, directions and whatnot, that I am actually better off just using infrared. I don't need the LED in this, but what it does do is that it shows any, say, intruders or whoever you want to see that there is a camera, because it goes bright, right? So there is use for it, even if I don't need it for my purposes. There is actually good use for it as well. But this 40-meter infrared range is pretty impressive, and when I then combine it with other IR blasters, other IR lights, it gets even better. So I think the night vision on this, even if you only have the one camera, is really, really impressive. It's really far. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the IR performance. So that's the AI Turret, or as I first read it, the L Turret, which I like better, I think. But let me know what you think down in the comments. I know this was, again, quite a long video, but there's so much to go through with this camera. It has got a lot of features, and I'm not sure it's fair to compare it to the G5 Turret Ultra either. I think it's more of an AI Pro plus an enhancer. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Put a comment down below if you've got questions. Click that subscribe button, because I'd love to have you part of the community. Maybe check out the merch. You can get Spit Happens or Keep Calm and Automate On, or even in my defense, it was DNS, any kind of swag. So do that, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.